What is up, YouTube? My hair is a mess. This is the horny homemaker. You may notice that my kitchen is a bit of a disaster. My home isn't as tidy as I'd like it to be. Lately I've been going through a lot of things. That's why I haven't really posted any videos aside from that Transworld video that I did and opening up the B&B next year, God willing. I may not be in this apartment much longer. In fact, I may not be around much longer. It's not because I've done anything to end my life. God, that just made my hair worse. Anyway, it's because there are certain times when, people do things that just tread so close to illegal, but they're not, to destroy a human being. This is a very tough topic for me to talk about, but I may be going to jail for a very long time, and it's because of me taking the law into my own hands and taking care of something that should have been taken care of years ago, maybe even decades ago. I would have been living a better life. And I'm going to reveal a lot of things in this video. It's going to be a tough topic, so if you're sensitive to abuse, you might want to turn this off. And if you have been the victim of abuse, I'm all for you. I'm here for you. I support you, and we gotta stick together, us abuse victims, because let me I'm gonna tell you exactly what I wanted from my parents on Christmas. And as a lot of people know, my parents threw me out because I'm gay. But that's not the worst thing they've done. What again? When I was younger, when I was about 5 years old, I had a creative imagination. They sent me to a therapist. I wasn't even 5 years old. They had me highly medicated on every kind of medication for psycho meds you can think of at 5. It stunted my growth. I ain't gonna lie, I could probably have a big dick right now, but I don't see my dick as anything special. Probably stunted that. I was forced into eating everything on my plate, which was fine, but my parents would scream at me and yell at me and cuss me out if I spilled my drink. If I dropped something on the ground when I was a child, they would cuss me out and yell at me. I mean, it would be an accident, dropping something. If I broke something, it would be, even if it was an accident, I was so terrified of being screamed at and physically abused as a child that I had to become a pathological liar all the way up until I had enough. There have been times when my parents have beat me in front of my friends from the neighborhood. I had a friend over for a sleepover one time from my high school, and my father strangled me in front of him and beat me, and to the point where my friend was crying in the corner and wanted to be picked up by his parents. I've had my mother smacked me on the leg when I was 8, leaving a handprint. When I was growing up, I tried to get hugs from my parents. They never did. They never wanted to me. Never wanted to give me affection. So growing up, I would always go out with my mother and my Aunt Sharon, my grandma. We'd go shopping every weekend. I'd hang out with the women of the family. I would never feel comfortable talking to my father about sex. When I was going through puberty, my mother made me watch porn to learn about it that way. So being around women all this time, I kind of got turned on by men, and because my mother had the balls in the family, I started getting curious for that. Not to mention something that happened at Spencer's. God, my nose is irritating me. But something happened at Spencer's with a return costume, which really turned me off of women. But after that, I came out to my parents. I came out to a couple of close friends in the neighborhood first. Then I came out to my parents, and they gave me my phases. My mother went through phases. It was first she told me that I'm not gay. I'm not gay. It was just a fad. Sorry, I had to dig in my nose. I ain't gonna do that on camera. But she told me it was just a fad. Then after that, she's like, "You just haven't found the right girl. You just haven't found the right girl." So what? There was that, and then it was avoidance. She avoided me every time we were in the house. And I'm sorry, I'm watching a horror movie right now, but I really need to get this out there. I'm gonna pause this for a minute.
Nothing to do with this. He's the most innocent one. Please don't call him.
But
Your ass is.
my parents, after they have avoided me, they stopped taking me out to lunch. They stopped taking me out on family vacations. Another thing that my father did that was another one of the things that they've done. We had these next door neighbors. Michael was the son, and then Mr. John and Miss Celeste. They would go out with them all the time and leave me at home, and this was before I even came out. My father and I would always talk about going skydiving together. Talked about it for a long, long time. And then one of the first things that really hurt me when I came out to them, my father took my next door neighbor, Mr. John, skydiving and left me home. We talked about going to Niagara Falls as a vacation, and they went. And that skydiving thing still hurts me to this day. I really wanted to go skydiving with them. They brought home a video. Then there was a time when my parents went to Niagara Falls with my next door neighbors, left me home. And when I was home with my Aunt Sharon or at my grandparents' house, I wouldn't be allowed to go out or hang out with my friends or have anyone over. It was just me and them. So it was like I was punished while they go out and have fun. And, there was a time when they finally did take me out to Niagara Falls. I think it was my senior year of high school. And there was this little photo booth thing with this plastic barrel hanging over, looking like, you were going over the falls in a barrel. And my father and my mother, Mr. John, Miss Celeste, they all did goofy poses on it, and then they all did smiley poses on it, looking like they were scared. And I saw that while we were there, and they told me to go do it by myself. I wanted to do that with them, but they refused. They said they already did it. Um, that still hurts me to this day that they did that. And then one time my father was cutting down a tree in the front yard, and he wrote something, Dad and Chase or something on it. And my next door neighbor comes over with a stump grinder and grinds it all down to nothing. And it was like they replaced me with the next door neighbors as a coping mechanism to their hatred towards me. And that was before I even knew I was gay. Fast forward to being gay, and like I said, my mother kept telling me, "Oh, you're not gay. You're not gay. It's just a phase. This is just a fad. You'll get through it." And then it was, "You just haven't found the right girl yet. You just have." And then it was avoiding me. So I started hanging out at this liquor store called Christo's, which is ironic because my last name is Bristow. B&A Boulevard, Glen Burnie. It's an amazing place. Told Johnny and Nick, I said, hi, if you live in Maryland and you happen to go there. I love them people. But I used to hang out there because my mother would go there liquor shopping ever since I was in a stroller. So, I would hope to run into her. I would hope to bump into her so I could, say hi. And, well, when she found out that I was hanging out there, she stopped going there. She stopped shopping. So after that, I got taken under their wing. Being there for such a long time, hanging out there, they started taking me to company parties, get-togethers, the winter solstice thing, and then I started working there, and then my mother threw me into a group home. Actually, she knew that I have bipolar. She knows about my anxiety, my bipolar, my depression, my autism, and she knows what triggers to push. If anyone knows anything about therapy, a trigger is something that you do not discuss or go anywhere near with somebody who has any of that. Disability-wise, if somebody has a trigger, and that is something you do not go near with somebody with a disability, especially a mental disability like bipolar. I mean, you're just asking for it. And so my mother knew that I had a perfect life, and she knew that her avoidance of me wasn't doing the trick anymore. So she threatened to put me in a group home so that she could trigger a meltdown. Next thing you know, there's the meltdown. I'm lighting a curtain on fire in the basement, and in the downstairs. My father blows it out. I get put in. My father comes out and tries to beat the shit out of me after blowing it out, and next thing you know, my mom's on the phone with the police. I'm trying to lock myself in the bathroom to calm down. They won't let me. So then I take the space heater and beat their hand out of the door so that I can shut the door and lock it behind me to keep myself safe. And then I get put in a group home. I get put in a mental hospital for 2 weeks. They lied to me and said I'm going home. And then I get out of there, and they lie to me and say I'm going to jail for overnight. Overnight turns into 6 months, and then they say I'm going home, and then they put me in a group home where I stay there and get abused by this insane resident known as Philip, and the staff all lie and make phony reports to my parents. So then fast forward to the point where I come back home and I start seeing somebody, and my parents throw me out again. And before I got put in this group home, I was seeing somebody too. And every time I wind up seeing somebody, my parents do this shit to me. So after getting out of the group home and living with my parents, I go in and out of jail a few times. Every time I start seeing somebody, it breaks up the relationship. My mother knows that after I get in these places, in the group home or in jail, she knows that I'm not going to have that relationship because they'll get bored of trying to reach out to me and then they'll move on to somebody else, which always happens. So, then one time, I I have this one relationship that she lets go because she knows that it's not going to end well for me. She knows that this guy is going to do harm to me, which he did. He tried to hit me in the head with a wrench, and I bit his nose out of self-defense. Went to jail for a month or two and got out. And then started seeing somebody. My parents threw me out again. And this time I went to Tennessee. I was supposed to go to court, had my warrants quashed, and came back. And then, I went out on the road again because I was seeing somebody. And then I was in Wisconsin. And I met somebody who I thought was my soulmate, who wound up cheating on me the night before we went out to Las Vegas to elope and get married. He cheated on me while I was at the laundromat. And, I was willing to overlook that because, hey, if he was, I was feeling so worthless, at the time because of all the abuse. I felt, hey, if he's crazy enough to go put a ring on my finger, then I won't even mention that he cheated on me. I'll just let it go. And I knew he cheated on me. I wasn't even going to bring it up. But we went out to Vegas. I called my parents. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. I'm getting married. Oh, that is so wonderful. We're going to send you $1,000. But we're going to send you half of it now and then the other half when you get home. Send us your exact address. Let us know when you get home safe. The whole time, every time I called them to let them know how we were doing. Let us know when you get home safe. Let us know when you get home safe. So we got home safe. Send us your exact address so we can send the wedding presents. I sent them my address. 3 days later, there's a banging on the door, and the cops are there. They filed phony police reports, and they had me extradited, knowing that I would be terrified and wanted to keep in touch with my husband. They knew that I would give my number to him, his number to them and vice versa. So he was keeping tabs on me. And all this time, I was sitting in jail for 6 months. They told him lies about me and fed him all kind of bullshit that had him not only divorce me, but put a restraining order against me. And I'm forgetting things as I tell this story, so I'm going to do some flashbacks. Now, as you see here, these are my pride and joys right here. These animatronics, I've been collecting animatronics since I was about 13 years old. What does that have to do with my parents? A lot. A lot. I have about 20 of them back home right now in their attic. And, well, I'm not even going to go into that story until the very end, tying into why I'm creating this video. But I will go back to 2016 when I was back home. Actually, 2021. Or 22, rather. 2020, let me go back to the beginning, actually. When I was in high school, my high school teacher the best teacher in the world, by the way. Sarah Gladden Samuel. She's an amazing teacher, the best teacher you'll ever have. Uh, she'll tame anybody, and she'll take any ferocious brute that comes into their classroom and turn them into a real, honest, decent human being. She did me. And that's saying a lot. Because I was untamable till I met her. That's why she has the nickname the Lion Tamer. Anyway, uh, this is nothing compared to what I had back home as far as Halloween. And every Halloween every day of the year, I felt like a total loser, worthless. And like I was nothing, like I was nobody. And my teacher told me after she got wind of like my animatronics and how I collected them, she asked me, why don't you decorate the house with them? Why don't you put them out? Because I told her because they're electronic, they'll get ruined. We'll put them out on Halloween day. Okay, good idea. So I would take my inflatables, the things you see in everybody's yard. I had a bunch of them. I would take everything out 4 days in advance. I'd set up the inflatables. I have all these animatronic, not these, but all my old ones downstairs, ready to go. I take one day to set the inflatables up, take another day to load the fog machines up and test the lighting and the CDs and sound systems I have. And then the third day, I would take everything out in the garage, and on the fourth day, everything else would go out. So fast forward to 2016. My mother told me that I wasn't allowed to mention Halloween until my birthday. My birthday comes around, and she says I'm not decorating. Fast forward some more to Halloween, and then she tells me that I can decorate, but it's noon. So I had 6 hours to decorate, do 4 days of work in 6 hours. And then and she tells me if you don't have everything up in the attic by midnight, I'm going to bring a dumpster by and throw everything away. And no, this was 16, 15, 14, 13. That was 2013. 2014, I had the same issue with my mother, except for instead of noon, it was 1 o'clock. And then she went, that was 2014. 15, in 2015, it was 2 o'clock. And then 2016, it was 3 o'clock. It got me down to 3 hours to do 4 days of work. And she knew about my bipolar. She knew that I would do one of two things. I would either get frustrated with my bipolar and have a manic episode and destroy everything, or I would put it all on Craigslist and sell everything. So I sold everything. And when I was selling everything, my mother popped out behind the door of the garage. When they were hauling everything out, these two people had somebody offer me $1,200 cash for everything. And this is the kind of smile that she had, or a smile like that. She just looked evil, and she had that evil ass grin. It would make those two look like they were frowning, like they were depressed. And I'll never forget that evil, evil smile when she saw them hauling everything out. And she will tell everybody, oh, I cried when they were taking everything away. If it was crying, it was tears of joy, that bitch. Anyway, um, so that was another thing. And then in 2016, she also gave me a noose and told me to go hang myself, and that was my Christmas present. Um, so after dealing with all that kind of abuse, now you guys know a lot about why I can bounce back from pretty much any situation and why I've been so strong all my life. It's because of them. But there's one challenge I have in life right now, and it may very well have me put in prison for a very, very long time because for I have fought for 5 years to get this apartment because back in 2016, my cat Sassy died, and I was ready to move on because I was off probation from that whole situation that happened in 2021. No, back in 2011. No, I'm sorry, 2011. Um, you know, after 7 years of hell in and out of group homes and jail and everything, finally got off probation, and my cat Sassy, and I'll show you this tattoo. I don't really show it to many people. That's my cat's tattoo, Sassy. She passed away in 2016. I was ready to move on with my life and go to New York and start my life over. But 2017, my mom brought. I was at Rue LaRue Cafe going to Golden Girls Trivia, and I came home a winter and I had makeup on because I was dressed up as Blanche. And my mother sees me at the top of the steps. Chase, I have something to show you. And she goes downstairs. She's like, but you better wipe off that makeup or you're going to scare it. I wanted nothing to do with the cat after Sassy died. I wanted nothing to do with it. But she knew that my heart would melt eventually. Well, she bought me a kitten, Sophie. And the reason I am standing in this apartment today, right now, is because I want a place for that cat and myself. I want a place where my cat and I can live without my parents intervening. And I've told my parents, hey, I got my apartment. They've known about this apartment. I moved here in October. It is March. It is March right now. And for Christmas, ever since they threw me out, every year for Christmas they would send $100 to me. Last year I told them I didn't want any money for Christmas. I wanted a date that's free. Just come up with a date that you're going to bring Sophie and all my belongings to me. Because after I sold all my animatronics, I went back and bought about 20 more of them. Granted, they're not as nearly as wonderful as the ones that I used to have, but they, filled the void a little. But now that I have an apartment, I told my parents I want a date. They didn't give me a date. You know what they gave me? $200 instead. I guess the extra 100 was for me to shut my mouth, which I wasn't. I did not deal with everything I dealt with in the past 5 years and come this far and get this apartment to not have my cat and my belongings. And if my parents are going to hold everything I own at their house, that's why I'm not going to be here in a while. Because they are refusing to bring me my property. And they know that I don't have a driver's license. I never learned how to drive. And they keep telling me, why don't you get a U-Haul and come up here and pick everything up? Where's my driver's license? Have you guys ever seen me drive? Have you ever heard of me talking about, oh, I got a new car? No. I've never been behind the wheel of anything other than a go-kart at an amusement park. And the only reason I did that was because the first time I ever did it, I thought I was going on a roller coaster. Different story. But there's a lot of other things that I may be forgetting at the time. It may be slipping my mind, but my parents have put me through hell for over 31 years. And, there's gonna be a time where you guys will not see me. You guys won't know what's going on with me for maybe up to 25 years. It may even be life. But I'm about to do some very, very, very unthinkable things because the law will not help me. and nobody's helping me with getting my property and my cat. And without my cat and without my property from Maryland, what good is all this? What good is everything I got here? If I can't get everything out of their house and if they're going to hold it over me for the rest of my life or until they die, what good is it? What good is living with that kind of thing over your head your whole life? There's no help. I can't get help from anybody with this. And they expect me. No, they don't expect me. They're just being stupid because they just think I'm going to get a U-Haul truck with my $900 a month. Hell, sometimes I can barely afford to feed myself. The food that I've been eating today came from a pantry. And they expect me to go get a U-Haul truck and drive up there with no driver's license and no money. No. They're going to have something happening to them, and there's going to be a huge absence in my presence. And I can't tell you what it is because I don't want anything to go down, but I can give you their number so that you guys can call them and harass them and tell them that they need to bring me my property. That's all I can do. I've been putting their information out all day on Craigslist and on their favorite restaurants that they eat at because I do not want to lose all this. I don't want to go to Maryland and lose all this because I have to deal with them one last time. And keyword, one last time. I don't want to. Let me highlight it, underline it, circle it, bubble it in, blow a smoke ring around it. I don't want to. I want things to be done as peacefully as possible. I want them to get a U-Haul truck and get in their attic and get all my shit out and bring me my cat. So that I do not have to do any of this stuff that I have planned. But they need to come by April 18th because they told me that they didn't have a date, and I told them I would get back to them on Christmas with the date because it was my Christmas present to myself because they didn't have the date. I said April 18th. They said fine. Now it's getting closer, and they're telling me that I need to come up with a U-Haul truck and the money, which I'm on Social Security. You know, there are places that will assist with free cat food and, you know, other things that will help me with my cat. So, I don't want to hear anything about any of that. I will put my parents' numbers down in the description, and I really want you guys to call them and harass the shit out of them, and, you know, put their number out there. Put it on Craigslist. Put it anywhere you want. On Google Maps reviews, anything. Because these people need to bring me my property. And there's nothing I can do out that's inside the law to help myself. And if you guys are ever wondering why I'm such a fighter, why I do things to people who treat me like shit or have gone and thrown people's shit in the river who just sit in my home on my phone, you know, I've dealt with people like that my whole life. They're my parents. If anybody's wondering why I act so crazy, why I need help, this is why. It's what I've been through my entire life is nothing but abuse from two people who should have never, ever been allowed anywhere near children, let alone have one. Especially one with autism, bipolar, depression, and anxiety, to give him PTSD along the way. No, that's just not, that shit should have never happened. And, you know, what happened to Dr. Frankenstein after he created the monster? The monster came back and killed him. Like I said, I do not want any violence. I just want peace. I want them to bring me my things April 18th. Like I said they would. Like they said they would. You know, I have my apartment. I even had the occupational therapist at the transitional housing write a letter stating that I was allowed to have a certified, I was allowed to have a animal and certify my cat as a service animal. So they had to accept that. I've done everything that I need to do. So if you guys don't hear from me, I'm gonna do one last video and probably upload it. I don't know. You guys will know what I've done and why you won't hear from me. But it's gonna be my last video. I'm just telling you that this channel may not be around much longer. I may not be around much longer. I'll be alive, but I won't be able to use my phone or any other source of freedom if I have to resort to what I'm going to do. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be necessary because nobody's helping me out. Nobody's doing anything against these people that are just pure wickedness. These people should have never been allowed around children. Somebody should have called CPS on their asses a long time ago so I would have never wound up like this. But it's too late. The only thing I can do now is hope that somebody calls them and makes them come to their senses and come here with my property. But there's a lot of other abusive things that they've done that may have slipped my mind. So I've been going through that, and that's why I haven't really posted anything recently. Because April 18th is coming up, and I don't know whether or not I'm going to continue living here or if I'm going to have to get ready for going away for like 25 years because they won't do what they're supposed to do. Anyway, I'll leave you guys to that, and remember, a tidy home is a happy home, even though mine ain't so happy right now. I really hope that I don't have to do what I have to do. I really hope they do what they're supposed to. Please help me. I love you guys.